Hello, beautiful people! How are we doing today? Hope you're having a good start of the week. We killed it so far inside the academy, some really nice trades. Let's see what happens here now on Bitcoin. But first, please let me know if you can hear and see me anywhere on X or on YouTube, wherever you are joining us. And then we can kick it off here. So hope everyone is having a good time. Got some really nice trades. We are in a really interesting area here with Bitcoin, and I think in 15 minutes, 15 minutes, we got FOMC coming up. So yeah, let's check quickly. Do we have some feedback on voice and visuals? Can you see the charts? Can you see and hear me clearly? Very nice. Andy earns crypto and Kelechi Aguacha. What a name. Nice. Glad everyone is here. So let's see. Let's see what we get here today. So what was the plan? Where are the next levels? I'll tell you right away. Plan was to get a swing failure pattern here or tap into our imbalances. That did not happen. I updated everyone inside the academy that it is not the reaction that I want to see because we grinded into the level. You can see here it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 15-minute candles into the imbalances. And then we got an initial reaction, yes, but really nothing too crazy, no? So all is good, Jam and HFG. Appreciate every one of you being here. And the idea was a swing failure pattern here of the lows. We got some aggression, we got a first initial reaction, but so far no reclaim. Is it still a valid trade? In my opinion, yes. We need to start losing stuff here. So this is really crucial for me here to see what is happening, because if we zoom out here on the higher time frame, I think we discussed it already, we are in a really crucial area here with Bitcoin. Now, if we just look at it like this, we can already see that Bitcoin is the first time on the higher time frame a little oversold. So something interesting to consider, because those things basically happen not all too often, and whenever they did, here for example, we got some sideways movement and then continuation. And if you go back in time, for sure this is repeatable. So really nice to see on the higher time frame that we finally came into a nice area. For now, it will buy or sell. Very good question. Ideally, we drop a little bit lower. I will show you also where I would like to see the drop. If we check out our higher time frame TPO chart here, we can already see that we got a juicy level here below. No naked point of control here on our TPO charts. Let's start to clean this up a little bit, because we definitely had some different ranges that we are going to look at. So you can see how easily we can merge profiles here, and then also the one down here in this lower range. And then we're gonna also merge this one here, for example, because it's also a nice range here on this move. And we can also see that we merged these two profiles here, for example, and they did not change all too much. So everything is still pointing to 83K, in my opinion. On the higher time frame, for sure, can we get a relief bounce? We got one already now. If we look at the local price action that we definitely got some relief bounce already and got a nice move here. So what we did inside the academy was basically, I think yesterday here on the lower time frame, we shorted this one live on New York Open, and then we had an anchor, really simple here, anchored VWAP here from the low, that we came to backtest, and then we got a nice bounce to the upside. So those were trades that we wanted to see. Then we also mapped out our VWAP close up here for a reaction, so really nice. And then this pushed us down here into our 786, 702 pocket. So locally, price action played out pretty well. I'm gonna remove everything now, and we're gonna look for some levels here together. So interesting to see here if we are getting the continuation from the swing failure pattern. Like, let's check first, did we get something interesting into the low here on the lower time frame? For example, if we check out footprint clusters, we can see what is going on. And did we get enough sells? For sure, we can already see here negative delta here into this low. Really interesting. CVD is still going, CVD is going up and then sideways pretty much. So crucial here for us to hold. For sure, we got, a bit of negative delta in here. a bit of sells, not the craziest amount. Let's check out what our heat maps tell us here, and let's quickly have a look if we tapped something interesting here already on the lower time frame. Quickly zooming out, CVD, we can also see it followed the move here a little bit, and then we drop down again. CVD following it on nearly everything. So spot cumulatively, or all the futures or inverse, everything cumulatively following. And what we see here is net longs are opening up here. We can also see it here in the order step now. New longs are coming in. So normally what we want to see here on the low is shorts coming in. And then if we zoom in here, we can also see that quite some shorts opened up here. So we would have a few shorts to squeeze, and then here on this candle, some longs trying to defend. So yeah, it is not the craziest and the best low if we look into it, because also in detail here, if we check it out, we can see, yeah, we have some nice sells, but the amount is not all too crazy. And it could be a sneaky low, you know, with Bitcoin, you never know. Overall, higher time frame, I would still like to see 83, 84K region here to tap the point of control. At least we're now at the value area high. So the interesting thing here is, you know, what happens here? Are we basically coming back up? Whoop, something like this. Get into our current value area low and then reject again and come back down. We will see. We got a few more minutes here until FOMC might get some action. So let's prep some levels in the meantime. Let's see if we zoom out a little bit here on our higher time frame charts, where we are here in terms of, I think I'll go here, will be easier, and switch to the daily time frame quickly to see if we can find something else here. Because if we get a drop, we need to be prepared now. So we had this last impulse here, pretty much sideways movement, then the sell-off started, everyone is super bearish. And we are always looking for longs if people are bearish and fearful. So that is something that we have to consider. But let's first check if we can find something here in the vicinity, something that we can trade. So we got the 0.702, 786 pocket around this region here. Simple, we are already there, so the majority is already tapped. And then we still have the 786 below us. So keep that in mind. We'll put that here to the right, and we will also hide our trend line. Then if we look at it like this, for sure, we can see here sell-off, negative volume. People are selling. It is picking up a little bit, which is always what we want to see towards lows. And if we put an anchor here, for example, we see already how beautiful this played out. Now we back tested it perfectly. We are still within that range, and this one would also be the low here of our anchor. So definitely an interesting zone that we have here in this region where we are right now. So everything here from basically where we are to 85, 84K is a zone that we should consider. Let me quickly check if everything is still good and where we are, if we got some questions. Yo, all good, all good. Very nice. You got positions open. I have a few spot buys that I did over the last few days and a few more limits waiting on the drop here. Local positions, let's see. I have a long here open in this zone. I think I opened it earlier here around this region when we got in here and we discussed the aggressive sells that came in the Discord. So we have had volume bubbles. I can show you that quickly. Really important here, for example, volume bubbles. And then as soon as we reclaim it, that was the long for me. So I am still in that long and the stop loss is here below those lows. So if we are dropping here, I will be stopped out on the long here. So aggressive sellers, we reclaimed it, came above. That's when I take a trade or when we backtest it. I think we more than backtested it, but the stop loss is always below the lows in that case. So that is the key zone here for me to hold. Even if we washed through it already, I think I'm not stopped out yet on that trade. I can also show it to everyone later in the Discord. But yeah, talking about Discord, if you're new here and don't know what the Academy is all about, We got 3 coaches going that are going over day trades, swing trades, and scalps. We get some updates here. For example, here was the update with the volume bubbles that I mentioned earlier, and I'm monitoring a reclaim or a backtest. And that's the trade that I'm still in, for example. This was the flush of the imbalances. So you get live updates here all the time. This was the long that we took earlier here this afternoon, I think, yeah, around New York Open. And in the morning, I wanted to see the anchored VWAP here backtested. And that's basically the long that we then got here. And I also told everyone here, because when those moves happen, you know, before New York Open, you always need to see, we got this little bounce already early, but I told you before New York Open though, so I wanted to see another sweep, and this was the tap before New York Open, and then on New York Open we came back, and then we squeezed up and took out the local highs. So a lot of updates and a lot of educational content coming up for everyone. Let's get back to the charts here. Long area here where we are, tight stop loss, especially because we got FOMC coming up. So a few more minutes and the madness will start. We might rise up, we might rise down. Something really interesting we got here is basically, oh, those orders are pulled already. Interesting. No, here we are. Is it the same amount? Yeah, more or less. They are lower now for sure. Because before I mentioned, basically here you see the 82 million of orders that Binance opened here. And at the same time, they also opened some limits down here. So pretty much on both extremes of the price, trying to get into some fun action for FOMC. And now they were, yeah, placed lower. Not the full amount, but still quite a nice wall that was moved to A2K. Too far off for something now, in my opinion. Let's check out everything here in more detail. We also got a few nice liquidations here earlier, nothing crazy. The interesting thing though is that everything to the upside is pretty clean, no? There's nothing really around here. Those are those 82 mil. Why? I would prefer to squeeze up there for sure, because I'm in the long, but let's assume that I'm in no trade. We always have to assume that, because I want to look for something new with Hiryu. And if we get it, I would prefer that. So entry that close to the current price and major news in 5 minutes. Big balls. If your stop loss is close by, you can be stopped out. You know, what are we risking here? We are risking 0.2%. So that's the thing, you know, if you are not on any crazy, I don't know, funding pips or whatever challenge accounts where you can't trade news, then it doesn't matter. You know, I can buy easily here. I have my stop loss below, and there's not much slippage with normal accounts versus, or also spots, you know, like it doesn't really matter all too much. But yeah, that's the idea here. Let's quickly check out liquidations. So there was already a video about liquidation heat maps by Krolik, I think a few weeks back, one of our first videos here in the Academy. Every week an educational content for you to go over how to trade based on the tools that we are showing here and that we can use. And the liquidation one is quite an interesting one, because if we look at it, it always tells us a nice story, you know. Now here, for example, we've got longs building up here over the last few hours, basically, and liquidations are below. So we can get another sweep, liquidate those, for example. That would be the next scalp of interest. Eventually, we can also see that, let me quickly check, because somewhere here we also got some VWAP closes. This is the wrong template here. This is the one. If we zoom out here, I think we need to zoom out a little bit further and on the higher time frame. Let's go there first, because we see VWAP closes stacked above. Really beautiful here now. I really love it over the last few hours. So let's zoom a little bit back, load some data, and here we are. And then we see that we have still 2 here below. So that is definitely the next levels of interest for me. And they're all pretty close to our point of control that we discussed. So that will be the next area of interest for me. If we drop, locally we don't have all too many levels in my opinion here. I don't want to catch anything if we drop here below the low. Like for sure, we could be super aggressive here and go for those liquidations, but that needs to be a scalp and an aggressive one as for that too. But if we zoom out here, you know, lower time frame, well, what can we see? The way to the upside is pretty clean. There's a few liquidations about to happen here. Yeah, but nothing all too crazy, you know. Let me quickly check what are we liquidating. Those are all the high leverage position. If we go to 25, for example, edit, we can see that there is a little bit below, but nothing all too much to the upside. So the way to the upside is pretty clear. There is not much resistance there. Not much build up here also, so not really crazy. And if we check out our heat maps here in more detail, for example, we can see the same thing, and the next region is up here. So we got, maybe we also got the action already, you know, with FOMC. We never know, because we got the big sell-off here. Now it is a little bit calm, so let's see what happens over the next few minutes. Yeah. What else have we got here? Let's go back to the lower time frame again. We can see some aggressive shorts here also. That was similar to the balls, the volume bubbles that I mentioned earlier here on the low. So really nice with the aggression here, and that's everything that I can do here really. You know, look at local aggression, look at local sells in the low basically, and I always like to leave those behind. So really nice to see. If we come back here, would I short it or long it again? No, not really. Let's check out how we are looking overall in terms of CVD, because drop, we are on the 5 min. Let's go to the 1 minute for a bit here just to understand what is going on with CVD. Is there signs of a reversal? Not really, no. Not really any strength or any confirmation yet. So the safest way is still, yeah, to hug your stop loss where we are. Definitely. Definitely the safest thing, to keep it tight. I'm not going all too crazy, but we are at the lows again. You know, I can't be bearish at the lows. We lose it for sure. We can look for other levels, but this is not the place to open a short. Like, totally not. So really, really important. Let's zoom in quickly a little bit more just to understand net longs and shorts a little bit. Yeah, still people trying to short everything here. But yeah, also not all too crazy of a bounce yet. No, we got 0.5%, literally nothing. So that's something that I'm willing to lose anytime if we start dropping out of the sky here. And then, do we have anything interesting? We don't have any crazy patterns here. We see some support walls here that came in. No, you can see the equally spaced walls here on the lower time frame. We could also then check here, because everything here is aggregated. You know, we can choose to have everything on here, certain exchanges, we could exclude them, for example, and then the heat map will change. So it gives us really the option to dig in and to see where are those walls coming, which exchange is placing them, for example, and yeah, are they getting filled or not? Really important. Here, for example, we can zoom in, footprint clusters and the heat map, and then we see exactly what happens behind the walls. Are the orders being filled or not? Or are they being pulled, for example? But yeah, I think the only thing we can do here is look for longs. So unless we get some spike with some aggression, and then let's see, where could we look for shorts? So that is our long zone here, as mentioned earlier, and also in the Discord. I am still in that long here with invalidation below the lows here. So that is something important to keep in mind. But if we now zoom out, for example, we can see we have a nice impulsive high here. Now we can see, okay, what is happening here? Where are we? What is our next resistance? So next resistance is around here. Could it be a change of market structure? If we come up here, come back down, yes. We could then also check on CVD. You know, how is CVD behaving? Are we getting bullish CVD divs on a retrace eventually? And then we can take it from there. For now, slow grind here. What is going on? Few longs are jumping in, but it's not all too green anymore here as it was earlier today. So here, for example, let's quickly have a look. Green, red, a little bit of green here. More to the upside on hyperliquid, but overall still would like to see a little bit of a squeeze to the upside eventually. And if we don't get it, we have levels to the downside. But again, remember, we are at a low. We should not be fearful. We can simply not jump into shorts at the exact lows, you know. So let me see. Are you using gradient settings for footprint? Yes. So here in our footprint charts, we can change the grading here, for example. Now, what do we want to see? How much do we want to pop out? And then we can also go in here and change the theme. We can say, what is it? What is the coloring style, for example? And then also choose different colors. I like the ocean. I'm a sailor. For everyone that does not know me, I am living on a sailboat since nearly 8 years now, traveling the world and trading, and it has been pretty good so far. 2 years in the Mediterranean and then a few years in the Caribbean, on the East Coast in the US. And yeah, that's back to the original one. Let me quickly change that. Yeah, coming down here. Let's see, do we get any bullish CVD dips or anything? Let's quickly zoom in like this so we have more, yeah, eventually on spot, but not really crazy. We also don't have all too much action going on. I think most of the action happened already. Let's see what we get in a few more minutes here with our, let's see if we got any news or anything already out here. Anything happened so far? Not really all too crazy. No, nothing really. Academy, you can always join here, mmt.gg/academy. Learn more about me or Netzo or Krolik, for example, and we will go over educational content and some live trades inside the academy. So a lot of interesting stuff here inside. And also our members already learned a lot. So we got some nice posts here earlier today, members basically mentioning that they learned a lot in the last few weeks since they are here, and they managed to incorporate a lot of tips that we gave them into their trading and improved it. So really proud of everyone here. Really nice that you managed to learn and improve your game. For now, we're still monitoring the same thing. Nothing happened really yet. Some shorts, again, something that adds fire to the fuel, for example. Really nice. And how are we looking here? Yeah, still the same. Still the same, and the next resistance is up here on the anchored VWAP. And then we can check, do we get aggression here? Because for quite a while now, since we took profits, interestingly, we longed this one here on the reaction, got the move to the upside. This was the touch before New York Open, so I can maybe draw it on again, what we did inside the academy. Here we are. You can see here we came back into it before New York Open and then took it out right after New York Open, and then we rode this trade up here for 1.4, 1.5%, and it was a nice one. And then we took some profits right here at those highs. Similar technique, always around our VWAP bands here. And the same goes for this trade here. We mentioned the long here at the beginning of the session. And if we can take it up here, it's a profit region, because overall the move would be, yeah, another 1%. So happy days. And we can lock some profits in here, for example, and then eventually look for a short if we are not able to reclaim it. How does it work? We will see if we can get aggressive longs here, for example. And as soon as we get those, we can counter trade them. For now, where we are here, yeah, nothing all too crazy yet. Let's quickly get back to the questions. What time frames do you usually use for the heat maps? Heat maps, I always look in detail then on the 1 minute, and I zoom out. Also, yeah, probably 4 hour, 1 hour, depends, 1 hour and 15 minutes. 15 minutes and 1 minute is my favorite time frame for sure. And then sometimes we can zoom out, you know, to see where are the bigger walls lying around, but the detail is always on the 1 minute chart for me. So you always go back to the 1 minute chart. You always want to see what is happening there. Where are our orders and are they being filled, for example? So let me try to get that back here to the original state. I really don't like all the noise normally, and I really want to focus on the bigger walls. And then we can see this one here, for example. That would be the juiciest one, you know, for sure. Come back up here. And there's also here, as we discussed earlier, everything is pretty thin. You know, there's no one really around, not much resistance, but yeah, we'll see. We've been trending down for the last few days, so we are still aware of our higher time frame levels, and it remains to be seen if we are getting this push or if we are getting straight into this. But we need to be prepared for both. So FOMC soon, HFG, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Yeah, we could look at this level next, for example, here together. 88. Pretty straight level. We can see if it gets filled eventually live if we drop down there. Let me check. Here we are. Slow grind. Still. Okay. Yeah. That's the overall idea here. On the bigger time frame that we can look at, we can see that we have quite a bend now in the VWAP since we've backtested it. Another thing, or another way to look at it, is we can also go back here to this low. So we have those two lows here that are really nice now because we got volume spikes. You can see it here. Volume spike and another volume spike. So those are valid pulls for anchors. And we can always, everything leads to the same areas, you know, volume wise. So that's really nice. And we had this one here, support. We tapped it a few times and then we got a bounce. And we are at the same area here, but on the extension of the anchor. So everything in this little box for me, really important to see what's going on. Yeah, let's monitor. Let's see if we got more questions. Why do you focus on hyperliquid? I just jumped through everything. It depends on the volume. You always need to screen where is the most volume, and then you can change your screeners or your tabs and then check out in detail what is happening here, for example. So it's nothing that I favor. It's always like, where is the most action? Where is something crazy going on? And then we dive into that. Yeah. What else? I know, but gradients for footprints I meant, not for OB heat map. Ah, footprints. The footprints, sorry man, this one here. Footprints, I am on standard render mode, delta, and then individual candle here, and everything on white. So I don't really like, I don't have the gradient on. I need to see everything neutral. I know where left and right is, so I really don't need to see all too much buys or sell colors, but I only want to see the numbers here. That is the main important thing. What is the amount here in the candle at the end? You know, what is the delta that we are left with? What is the volume that went into a low, together with the bar stats here at the bottom and the negative delta here that we get eventually. And that's all I need. And then for sure we can look at other gradients. If you meant this one here, for example, you can also have a look at these settings here. And this is also on delta, and it focuses also on the individual candle here, for example, on this template. So let me know if that is the one that you were looking at. And if not, just let me know and we will try to figure it out. Rocky Doran, anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP is here, normal anchored VWAP. Most of the time, it's really smooth how we can drag it and see how it develops here. This is just like ASMR, you know, like, epic, epic. Normally, when I draw them, I always look to find some nice areas, highs or lows, and then normally I put it to 1.786, my preferred band settings here. And we got a nice high here into our region earlier. So let me quickly have a look at a few more things and at a few more levels that we can look at eventually. So let's pull up some volume profiles, zoom into the lower time frame and see what's happening. We had an ugly low, we took that out. Doesn't look all too bad right now. Yeah, maybe still has some chance for improvement to clean the low up. And what do we have here? Nothing. A lot of action here before New York Open, a lot of chop, a lot of sideways movement, but not all too much in terms of crazy moves. We got the long here and then we took some profits here. And for now, we are still waiting to see what is going on here around our VWAP bands. If we get some aggression here into the lows, for example. So that is, it's pretty slow FOMC so far, no? Anyone got some insights on FOMC and how it went out so far, and try to focus on the charts here mainly, and it has been pretty slow grind. But I also mentioned earlier we might have seen the move already earlier. You know, I stay up late to be here for FOMC and then we get all the action before FOMC. So let's see how that goes and what comes out of it. Do alts give any signals to Bitcoin? White chocolate, nice name. I am not actively trading alts. Sometimes I buy some, crazy coins, but I don't actively trade alts all too much. Bitcoin is all I need, and I would rather say Bitcoin gives signals to alts. Sometimes you have Litecoin, for example, that is leading the race before Bitcoin starts a big drop or a big push, but overall I don't look at it all too much because everything I need is in the charts or in the order books. Everything we need is in here. We can see it, we can see where are aggressive longs being placed, what is buying, what is selling, is spot more active, is perps more active, what is happening in the footprints and on the heat map. So it's all the info I need for some trading. So here we are, FOMC link is through it already. Is the stream still live? Not appropriate. More neutral so far, no? At least from what we felt in the charts. Let's see what we get here. I will still be here a bit with you and we will see what we get. For everyone that joined recently, we were discussing higher time frame levels in the beginning. Here to the downside around our 83, 86K region, and then going through some local ideas on footprints and on our heat map. Yeah, overall, I'm still in a long from the volume bubble here that we discussed earlier with invalidation here below the lows. I can be stopped out here. We did like 5 trades since yesterday inside the academy that were giving some nice returns, and losses are part of the game, so never forget that. Just wondering for new members, able to rewatch the old educational videos that have been taught? Yes, anytime. For now, everything is in the Discord. It will be in the website in the future. You can scroll back and rewatch or download the videos, for example, and then go over Krollik. Here for today, for example, really nice video on OB depth. Epic indicator. I had no idea about it. I never used it, but really nice. And Krollik has a really good way of explaining stuff. So really love that. I don't know what other members think so far, but I think the educational content so far is pretty nice. A lot of insights and a lot of nuggets shared so far. Pretty slow here. FOMC disappointing. As mentioned earlier, we might have gotten the move already. So let's just wait a little bit longer and see what happens. We are ready to the downside here, anchored VWAP from the high, for example. And if we come into the extension, we could look for some aggression. Open interest is up though here at the lows. So that is something to consider. Interested in this sell-off. So a lot of people trying to short everything here. And then we are flattening out. We did not drop off completely, so that is something to consider. And the other scalp level here to the upside is the anchor above. So really close by levels. I hope we get there during the stream. And we can see what happens. Are you related to Igor? Man, that would be epic. No, he's a great guy. Learned a lot from him probably, what was it, 8 years ago? A long time. Nice guy. Really good in ADAS. But he does not know what we have here in MMT yet. It's crazy. Like the whole thing with ADAS, you know, I was in ADAS for ages and I had a developer to work on aggregation for me and edit to the indicators and hack it basically. And then I had data aggregation. I could get the delta, I could get CVD, everything aggregated. But whenever they did an update or changed something, it was all gone again. So we had to redo it or rehack it, and it was always tricky. And that is just amazing here. Like everything can be aggregated. Here, for example, the volume profile on the side, we can aggregate it. You know, we can see on 1 exchange, 2 exchanges, 3 exchanges, and then you can really go through, you know, where is the volume on which exchanges? What did influence it, for example? How did it change with spot? So really important where the data is coming from, and the more you can combine it, the better it is for your trading decisions, because you are not blind anymore. You know, you can really see, is spot aggressively buying, is futures aggressively buying, who is selling, who is dumping, who is, you know, sometimes it's just one exchange that does all the action with a lot of volume. But yeah, really important. Do we have any bull leaves or anything here? Not really, except for spot a little bit. No. Let me quickly check. Arthur, appreciate the feedback. You must join. Those guys can really improve the trading. That is the goal here. You know, there's so many epic tools that are available, and the way we read it live in time, also on the sessions, for example, yesterday on the session, I think here, where were we on the session yesterday? There's quite a few updates in between, as you can see. This was the session here. We did a scalp short, and then we talked about, this was the scalp here. Like we came up into this area, we got aggressive longs, and I told everyone, listen, if we are dropping again and back testing it, here we came up with this 1 minute candle here, back tested it, and then got a 1.4% drop. And if we come back into the area here with our anchor, I want to see another push, and then we pushed up another 1.5%. So we are always also very, very important here for everyone who is new here. I will never be here and shill the highest short from the last high and will, you know, I'm not the guy for that. I will not really go over and brag about a short that we did for ages and keep it open. It just makes no sense. You know, I'm a scalper, I take trades, and we are going on to the next one. We took a lot of good trades. We can also lose trades for sure, but that's gonna be it. What you do with those trades is up to you, you know, like the short from the high or the last long, whatever it is, you can hold on to them as long as you want. But it is your money and you are in charge of it, you know. I'm not here to trade for you. I'm just giving you the tools so you can trade as we do and eventually buy your boat or whatever you want, you know. Trading is a very boring job, but it pays and it gives me the opportunity to travel. You know, I can travel on the boat, I can trade everywhere on the ocean. We got Starlink, internet, epic, works everywhere, super smooth, and it gave me the opportunity for the last 7.5, 8 years nearly to do that. So that is the only thing, you know, that we should be excited about. What can we do with profits in trading? So we're getting a drop here. Let's see some aggression in here locally, not all too crazy. A little drop in CVD. Will I add to my long here? Definitely not. I will remain in the long until I'm stopped out, but right now there is no level hit, no aggression, nothing crazy, so I will not add to the long here. The only next area we can look at is here, for example. If we get there together and we get some aggression, we can consider it for a next trade eventually, but so far still nothing changed. Higher time frame, we know our levels. Liquidations are close by here to the downside. 880, yeah, everything goes to 88, right? We had, where's this one going? 884. Okay, sweep it a little lower and then come into our wall here, 885. Okay, small wall here and then a bigger wall around 88001. Let's see. Yeah, the interface is amazing. CKH, you know, like how fast is it? How, like, that is something that blew my mind when I first started out with the terminal. I was like, come on, this can't be. You know, in ADAS, everything used to be forever. Heat map is, yeah, a completely other thing. But here we can simply aggregate everything, zoom in, out, and the responsiveness is just, yeah, I love it. I love it. Does not feel like Windows 2000 copy. So you can literally get underwater while trading, basically. That is a good one. That is a really good one. I haven't heard that one yet. I always love to get underwater and dive after trading. So normally I wake up in the morning, dive or jump into the water, have breakfast, then prep for New York Open and take some trades eventually. And then in the afternoon, go for another dive. Water is just amazing, you know, living at the sea. Everything gives you so much in life. You're close to the nature. You're enjoying the best time out with animals, you know. I'm at breakfast and I have dolphins swimming up next to me or birds chasing some fish, and it's just like, yeah, that is really worth it, you know. Like this whole trading thing, it is a pain to learn, it is a pain to master, it takes you forever, but once you get there and you manage to take profits, get cash out, and don't be greedy and control your mental state about it, it is worth it, you know. Like it would never have been possible without trading to travel for the last 8 years. Like I did not get any inheritance or any crazy trust fund or nothing like that. And it's really amazing where we've been already with the boat and what we've seen. Yeah, slow here, long from this region still. So it grinds down. 1, 2, 3, 4 lows here so far. It will eventually stop me out, probably here. And if not, we're taking profits here and looking for another trade down here. So as a scalp level, let's see. I'll wait a little bit longer. How long is it now? We've been here for nearly an hour. Yeah, Arthur. Only minutes, nothing crazy. But we got the whole action before, you know, as I mentioned on the stream. We got all the FOMC action here on the sell-off earlier. So took out the low, swing failured it, we came at it again, we came at it again, we nearly came at it again. And Bitcoin likes to do those things now, getting a bit of aggression. And let's see what we do here. Yeah. What else? What else, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see. Took down some notes. Did we miss something? We discussed higher time frame. We discussed lower time frame here in the vicinity. If we are not holding here, this is the next level to watch. And then if we are not holding there either, 88. And then we have some walls at 87. And then the interesting juice, I think, comes in around 84,900. There is the next bigger volume chunk, basically. I think we can also see a bit of it. Yeah, this is all too far or too local, basically. But we can watch it a little bit. Let me put the liquidation sounds on again here. For everyone that is new, you can have liquidations inside the terminal too. So you can simply add a widget here. Trades or liquidations comes out like this. And then you can also choose again, what do you want to aggregate? Which exchanges do you want to hear the sounds of freedom here with the liquidations? And then it will beep as soon as we start dropping. Lower here, you will hear it and see it flashing up here. Beep, beep, beep the whole time. It's like the best sound ever. Yeah. No, it's a good point. Everyone waiting for NVIDIA reporting. White chocolate, when is that coming out? You have any idea? Everyone will be interested in that for sure. Probably better than expected with all the hype that is going on. So let's see what we get. We can take this one off here for now. We can check out what is going on here inside the candles. Nothing crazy yet. If we just get a free fall, we will not catch knives here. Really important. We will always wait for a reclaim of the level, or we will always wait for a backtest. So that is the most important thing. And the same as I mentioned earlier, we are not here to teach you to hold on to shorts from 126K forever. That is your thing. You can do with those what you want. And we are here to tell you how to scalp regions. You don't need to scalp an exact level. You don't need to be crazy in sniping. You know, that is not what you are doing in trading. That is just what some people are showing you on social media. And it's not the way. The way is to take trades and to get stopped out sometimes, but to manage your risk in terms of how much are you willing to risk when you're getting in later. So, you know, if my entry is here, for example, and the stop loss is below the low, then if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. But if I enter later, for example, or if I decide to enter here, for example, a little bit higher, what do? I will not enter with the same position size. You need to lower your position size, you know? Logically, you enter later, you lower your position size, but you can still be part of the trade. And you don't need to jump in, oh, this is the low, or this is it, and I open a trade and catch the falling knife. So that's not what we're doing here. If we just drop down below here and we don't get any negative delta or aggression or liquidations or anything, we will not take a trade. Really important. Don't jump in all too crazy after New York close. Oh man, that is still long. Not sure if I'm still awake until then. How long had you been trading in my man? Agreed, it is a hard process, but definitely worth it. It's been 10 years for me. Yes. I started out in the first bull run and was like, yeah, let's buy all the coins. I think it's the same process for everyone, no? You start, you learn, and you buy ICOs. I participated in so many ICOs back in the days. It was crazy. What a freaking hype, you know? Coins that are like, yeah, people, the craziest one, like I spent probably like 5 or 8, no, that was 8K. I spent 8K on a project that tried to build exchange and ATMs, and they had everything, you know, product and whatever, and like they showed the Bitcoin ATMs and everything. It was perfect, really nice, and like I made like 100K with a few of the other nice, like XRP went nuts back then. Really loved it. A lot of money with those, and then I threw it all into ICOs, or most of it into ICOs, and the guys were just rug pulling everyone. Like they flew to Turkey afterwards, and they are still there probably, but the ATMs never managed to be operational. Yeah, a few of those ICOs back in the days, crazy. But yeah, that's when I basically started with trading, and then it took me like three to 4 years to get into the rhythm and to learn and to feel and to see the charts. You need a lot of screen time too. You know, it's like you feel stuff for sure. You always need to have data, but you see patterns. You see the same thing over and over again, and it always or most of the time happens the same way. So it takes you at least a few years. Depends on how much time you can spend for learning, for sure, and also on the budget that you're willing to invest to learn, but it will take you a bit of time, but it is worth it. At the end, it was really worth it, because I would not be traveling the world on the boat, you know, since 7.5, 8 years now, if it were not for trading. So after New York close, everyone is waiting, and then after close, we will see it. Yeah, Arthur, it was a good learning. Like, I think you have to burn yourself, you know, in order to know that fire is hot. It's the same with trading. You need to lose some money in the beginning to learn, and then you need to be stubborn enough to keep at it, but also flexible enough to adapt. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, oh, we're getting some action. Let me quickly jump back to the charts here. Alerts are going off left, right, and center. We are getting some shorts in. Let's see, delta, negative delta, uptick in open interest, aggression here on this mini SFB. Can we long it? Let's quickly check it out. What is happening here? And it's the same thing here with the volume bubbles. What is the confirmation here? The reclaim of those aggressive shorts here, for example. So we don't need to jump in right now. We don't need to jump in at all. We wait and we will see what happens here. And then what is the trade? The trade will always be a reclaim here. If we come up here, for example, squeeze through it, backtest it, we could look for an SFB, another mini SFB here, you know, if you want to be super aggressive in scalping. But overall, I would still like to see a little bit lower eventually, because let's quickly check a few more things here. Come back here. Not the craziest amount of aggression, and we don't need to counter trade everything. We got quite the drop off in CVD here, nearly everywhere, and some longs liquidations. We can see that here. Everyone getting liquidated. We did not reclaim anything, so we did not take a trade yet here. Let's come back to this one here. Let's quickly see if those shorts are now trying to push us lower, for example, but else the reclaim is the trade for me. And if not, we're still waiting for our lower levels here. So we got some negative delta here. We got some aggressive sells, but so far we did not reclaim anything, you know. So we are not jumping in blindly. We're always waiting, because we might get another candle, another drop with even more negative delta and even more sells. And then that's what we are gonna trade, for example. 6 million here. Let me quickly check footprints. How are we looking on our footprints? Do we get some? Let's check out Visual candles here. Nothing crazy. Let's combine everything. Buy imbalances here to the upside and come back to this and then see what happens here. Yeah. No reclaim, no trade. So nothing crazy yet. I'll still wait here. And we will see if we get another push to the downside. So for everyone that joined a little bit later, the trade would only be activated if we come back up here, reclaim this, or eventually squeeze up and come back, test it. So that would be the trade, for example. So, but again, this is another swing failure pattern here. So you can be a scalper, for example, and you can scalp, you know, the first SFP, the second SFP, and then the third SFP here, for example. And then eventually we might get back up here. So that is literally everything. Let me quickly switch over to my terminal on my server. Just a second, gonna be quickly off, and then eventually we can jump into a trade here together here, and we can ride that together to the upside. Interesting story. How have institutional changed your approach, if at all? Institutional flows. The biggest change was the ETF launch for me. So that was the biggest change. Because before, when I aggregated data for my speed of waves indicator, it was very precise and nearly every low was clear, you know. It was negative delta and we got a reversal into the low, or vice versa with positive delta into the highs. And then with ETFs, it changed a little bit. You could see different patterns and it was not as easy as before anymore. That is definitely true. So let's see, we did not reclaim anything yet. Still rejecting here, still getting some aggression. Lower levels eventually, we will see. And if not, we can only trade the reclaim here. Let's quickly check how we are doing here in terms of heat maps. Nothing crazy. Footprints, some negative delta, but also not all too crazy. The only thing is this one here. This one is the one that we mentioned earlier with the aggressive shorts that came in here. So we have negative delta and yeah, not all too much, not all too crazy, nothing to counter trade yet. So really important. And that's also something that I just can recommend for everyone. You don't need to jump in at the exact low, you know, really take that to heart. Take your time, wait until you get a reclaim eventually, and then jump in. Enter with lower position size, but don't, you know, just because we see this and we see the spike here, we did not enter yet. We don't jump in just because we think, okay, this is a nice SFP. We need to wait for confirmation either for those lows to be left behind here, and then we can see further upside. But there's no point in jumping in blindly. Yeah, let's see. Let's quickly see how else it is going. Quickly check on X if everything is good and if we are live. Got a few people in here. Really appreciate it. My voice is slowly leaving me, but I will still be here for a bit, or try at least, as long as I can speak, or at least to see if we leave this one behind here or not. But yeah, don't get sucked up on the wrong side of things. We cannot short, or definitely I will not short. You can do whatever you want. This is no financial advice here, all educational, and you saw the disclaimer in the beginning. The important thing is, though, to not rush into things And just because we saw an uptick or we heard some liquidations earlier here, for example, really important, we don't blindly long here unless we reclaim something. So let me quickly check if there's some more questions before I wrap it up. I really like your approach to scalping in the 1 minute. How often do you teach scalping in the MMT Academy? I do sessions twice or 3 times a week inside the Academy, and then Netzo does sessions twice or 3 times a week, and then Krolik does videos for educational content and also gives trade breakdowns. So he records how he takes the trades and then goes more over an educational way, because I talk about order flow and I tell you, okay, I will take the trade now based on what we discussed, but I cannot sugar coat it and bring it over in an educational manner in live in time. It's very difficult to talk about it. Like I just tell you, listen, I want to see this. We saw it. I take a long or a short, and that's it. But not, Krolik has a really good way of explaining why he took the trade. And I think a lot of members appreciate how he teaches his way of trading and his way of taking those trades then for the members. But yeah, there's daily live sessions. There's educational content in the Academy, and there will be more coming soon. Let me quickly check here. Not reclaimed anything here, so no trade yet. Yeah, not really. So, hey Michael, Gary, the latest volume bubble, what are the setting levels you have to show these, and wasn't there more volume below the bubble in the same candle? I have it on Delta. You are right, though. It looks like there is more volume below, so I will have to reach out to the team. This is my settings here. Delta, bubble size 12, and the threshold is 77. Then again, if we zoom into it, we can see that these are smaller ones, and this is one bigger one. So that's what it is about, basically. We zoom in, and then you have, based on your tick size or whatever you have set, you see that there is a bigger order around this region, and on the downside here we have more smaller. Yeah, for sure, overall this is bigger, but I always go for the bubbles and for the big orders, because those are the ones that are defending or trying to defend, if you open big positions. But here, really nice to see, we came into it, got aggression, got more aggression, came back up to it, back tested it, but did not reclaim anything yet. So no trade really here yet. Slow approach today. Let's come back to our charts here. Footprints, some more negative delta. Nothing strong. Nothing strong here yet. No. My opinion, we can hear some liquidations coming in. Sorry for that. All of the coaches scalp. Yes, all of the coaches scalp. There is a market overview on Monday where I go over swing trades or Netzo, like we always swap around. And I think on the last swingers session on Monday, I went over a few levels here. This one, for example, to short. Then we had a long level here where we got a 2 or 3% bounce, but then dropped through it. But really nice here with the higher time frame short that we took and that we walked through. So that is on Monday. Monday early morning, always going over market sentiment and what to expect, and to prep some levels for the week with day trades or swing trades here, for example. And another day trade that we had here that got stopped out afterwards, but we got a nice bounce. And then all the other sessions are basically live trading sessions around New York Open or New York Close, and then sometimes some chill sessions on Friday to close the weekend. We took a nice trade also on Friday's chart and chill session, not too bad of a bounce with the members. And yeah, it was fun. It was really good. Got a lot of good feedback also from the members and also some good insights. And you can also talk with us inside the stages, for example, and share your ideas or thoughts. Yeah, before I forget here. Yeah, that's it. I'll wait a few more minutes here with you just to see. But yeah, basically, what is the idea here? The idea here is if we reclaim this here, for example, this would be a valid long. We can now have stop loss below the low. And when we enter like this, for example, we enter with lower position size. So we don't get in all too crazy, you know, because we did not get, sometimes those bubbles are at the exact lows, you know, and then you reclaim them right away and catapult out of it. And then for sure we are entering with normal position size because we're closer to the low. But here, for example, we are not, and we reclaimed it, and now we are squeezing some shorts here. Now the question remains, you know, will this be a runner or not? We will see. We will see how it goes. Where can we see those Monday plans? Monday plans are in the Academy here. Let's go over here. Oh, coaches. Here we are. And then there's all the recordings. Like in starting next week, there will be a separate channel for all the coaches. And then this channel will also be only for the videos. And in the future, the videos will be on the website. But you have then all the plans here. You get a recording of every session that we did. And then all the follow-up charts, all the insights. Oh, there's quite a ton of information. But also the Monday plans are always posted then. And you get access to the layouts. So you get access to the layouts that we are trading. And after the sessions, we share those links. And then you can open it up. And what you get basically is exactly this here, for example. You get this box that I drew. You get this anchored VWAP that I pulled, and you can continue your charting or trading on the same layout. So that is something to keep in mind. Really nice feature. Basically, you can pick up where we left off. Yeah. Yes, it's in the Discord. MMT Discord added Academy section. Really nice. With some awesome members that joined already. I think it's still free for this week for all MMT Pro subscribers, and then next week it will be students only. But yeah, winter is here and my voice is leaving me slowly. Yeah, this is still valid here so far. Very small move for sure, but you see how we approached it. You know, we don't need to snipe. We can enter later, be a little bit more aggressive with position size. We don't need to jump in with full position size. We saw negative delta here, and then we saw it being resistance, and then on the reclaim basically we have some shorts to squeeze, and that is what we are trying to achieve here now. If we come back here, we can also see it here with some shorts that are being liquidated. And yeah, I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. From my side here, I will leave you with a few things. Higher time frame plan, important. Day drawing, let me take this away. Higher time frame, still remember 83,700 below us. Crucial level to the downside, something that might give us an opportunity to load up some spot, in my opinion. And in the vicinity here, we have the anchor here above. So if you got into the long trade here with us, 1.06%, if we come up here, we'll take some profits. Or, really important, we take profits if we see aggression. So we don't take profit mechanically on 1%, 5%, 10%. We also take profits if we see aggressive buys. Really important. As soon as we see a lot of buys coming in, for example, or some green volume bubbles here, really simply visualized now, then we know we have a lot of aggressive longs, for example, and then we could just squeeze them out, you know, like we are squeezing the shorts out right now. Then it remains to be seen, you know, if you want to be aggressive, you can move your stop loss early. It all depends on what the order flow will tell us here over the next few minutes and what we get in terms of positive delta or longs here overall. But yeah, let's see if there's one or two more questions. Academy subscription come with terminal access? No, both are separate. Academy and terminal. Netso. I took the trade, yes. Mo Egge. I will post it later on my X account as a follow-up to this session. If I get stopped out, it is also okay. But overall, this was the idea. So, why stopping it for pro subscribers? Oh, it's a good question. It is two different products, basically the Academy for people to learn and to trade with us, and then the terminal for the software itself. Yeah, I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I forgot. Please, I appreciate a like or a comment anytime, or a reshare either on X or on YouTube. Always helps and is much appreciated here to spread the word. And trade safely. Yeah, don't get all too crazy with the action that we have. Check the heat maps and the liquidation maps for some action below eventually. Got a nice trend line that we could break through here or just reject. So just simply looking at it here, I wanted to stop it, but I just saw it. So that's also where we are trying to break through here locally. And if we don't, you know what's coming next. So, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I will be back. Well, tomorrow there's a session inside Discord, so you can always check it out in the Discord here. For example, events tomorrow with Netso, and then all the future events that are happening inside the Academy. So keep that in mind. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. Don't get caught all too aggressively in, let me jump back quickly. I wanted to stop it, but there is a drop coming. So we will see now if we are holding here and getting a back test or just falling out of it. I'll wait a few more minutes. Higher time frame also here, keep that in mind. Unloading zone for me. And while we are here, I appreciate every like or subscribe on YouTube. Yeah. Sometimes it's the simple things now. Super simple trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4 tap. Let's see if we get another one. But yeah. Thanks, CKH. Thanks a lot. It's always fun to be here, especially if we get some action. Not always, you know, also with the live trading session. I'm not gonna promise you we're getting a live trade on every session. I will try for sure. But we also have to consider the markets, and sometimes we don't get any action. Did not get all too much action here on this FOMC meeting minutes, unfortunately, and all the action happened here already earlier. So stay safe and keep your eye out for another drop to 83,600. Overall, we did not confirm any changes in the trend on the higher time frame. That is something really important. And it's also really important to say that we are scalping aggressively here against the trend right now. But we are at the lows and we did not hit any levels during the stream here to the upside. So nothing really for me to short or counter trade. But yeah, stay safe, keep this monitored. Let's hope it helps and let's hope it holds, and take your profits up here and look for the next trade eventually down here on the lower time frame with some aggression. But yeah, I think I will leave you with that now for good. And I thank you all for being here. So have a good one. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening. Cheers and goodbye.